Welcome back. Now
All
we're
right.
now we're
We,
Good morning, everyone. 6 a.m. on the 23rd of January, 2026. Welcome. I'm coming from Boca Raton, uh, Florida. And please tell us where you're watching from. Put it in the chat. Hashtag KMT for a chance to win.
let's do a baseball hat.
Kiltz hat.
Kiltz
KMT.
hat.
Tribe.
Kiltz hat.
Right
Oh, I
on.
wasn't here.
Ah. Oh, wait. Who's
and
this? Is this Dr. Nelson or is this the...
Put your
Yeah.
questions in the chat, please. We're going to be talking to Danny this morning. Rudyak, is that correct?
That's so
Is
well
that-
pronounced. Yes, Dr. Nelson. Rudyak is right. That's my last name.
Okay. And today's Friday. How are you doing, Dr. Kiltz?
I'm in Sarasota, Florida. I'm doing amazing. Another beautiful day in paradise. I was supposed to go up north, but I decided to let the storm hit, and I'll wait. Maybe Monday, Tuesday. I don't know yet. But I'm glad to be here hanging out with you guys and Danny from LA, Alia for Colombia, and Dr. Nelson from Boca Raton at the Boca, Low Carb Boca. Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah. And we're going to talk with Danny about life, long, healthy, and ideas for all of us to improve our lives and our brothers and sisters' lives. Because really, there's so much suffering. And maybe you could introduce yourself, Danny, and the why you're working in a world to help brothers and sisters heal.
Yeah, that's our mission is deeply profound. We all, the entire team, employees, co-founders, have been deeply touched by what we find to be a relatively broken healthcare system in the United States. My personal journey was when I was 12. My father was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and it was very difficult to watch someone who I looked up to so much deteriorate at a very fast pace from his motor functions. And then furthermore, he was later diagnosed with lung cancer. He was told that he would not, he would likely survive if he did not have it recur within 5 years. 5 years later, it did not. Half a year later, he was metastatic again. And they said that there's just no chance for him to survive. And lo and behold, I was with him through that whole process. And it was, once again, very difficult to watch. And we were told, it won't be long that we'll have these few moments with him. And then we're told, hey, surprise, he's actually free of cancer. And the yo-yo that plays on someone's kid emotionally, and also I can only imagine what he was going through to be told that he was going to die and then that he's going to live. It was quite taxing, and we thought we truly got a new lease on life. We were so excited. It was about 2 months later that he passed. So that was my first true interaction with the healthcare system in the United States, the subjectivity of it, the lack of certainty. And what I started to form these thoughts early on, that we have a healthcare system that's truly based on reactive care and responding to illness and not preventative care. And some of that is cultural, some of that is economic, and kind of just how that profit wheel works within the US healthcare system and its education. And wanted to live my life a slightly different way, and found that it was tremendously inaccessible. And so myself and my partners wanted to democratize what we think of as the future of healthcare and preventative health, and enable on a national basis doctor-led programs to help you live a longer, healthier life with supplementation that's dispensed from a pharmacy, that's bioavailable, and programs that help you age in a healthy way.
So
tell us about Ready RX. What type of services you guys
Yeah, so we're
Wow.
direct to consumer, um, at this point, very much self-directed, directed consumer, future of health, longevity program. So everything is doctor prescribed. We have over 400 doctors nationally in the network, and offer supplementation and medications that help reduce, a lot of what Dr. Kiltz talks about, inflammation, and also we acknowledge that a lot of what you see in the GNC, folks aren't aware that they're not regulated supplements or products. So by the time that they quickly hit the liver and they're not truly bioavailable. So our body can't metabolize and absorb those nutrients and supplements. So predominantly we have um, truly bioavailable injectable solutions that a pharmacy will dispense. Some of our hero products include glutathione, which is our body's master antioxidant to rid of all the free radicals in our body. NAD plus, as I'm sure you're familiar with, which helps with ATP and energy production and helps our telomeres strengthen and not unwind and cause DNA damage. We have, of course, methylated B12, MICM products, methionine and acetylcholine, um, and we have growth hormone mimicking peptides like sermorelin. We certainly have some GLP-1s. And as the FDA continues to clear more and more peptides, we will be able to offer those as well for our broader customer and patient base.
Why is the system broken?
So I think that your voice is so powerful, Dr. Kiltz, because it talks about how food is, you know, one of the primary points of your health, right? So food equals eating well equals good health. But when you have a FDA that is 40% or so funded by the people that they're supposed to regulate, you have a innately backwards regulation, which promotes profit over the interests of its people. And we hope that that's not what it does, but fundamentally it's bias. And so it starts at the most basic level, which is food when you're a baby. I heard one of the most recent individuals that you had on your podcast talk about the formula that is introduced to babies and how it's sugar and chemicals, right? Um, but it starts with food.
Horrible.
Horrible. Um, but it starts with food, but it goes down to the fact that we have a feedback loop of profit that happens when we have a sick population. And the United States has undoubtedly, as a function of data, one of the least healthy populations globally. Um, I think it's habits. I think it's education. I think it's that we don't enable um, healthy eating, and we don't actually incentivize um, people living healthier lives. Right? We kind of live sedentary lives. We eat unhealthily. We are told to only go to a doctor and seek an understanding of oneself with robust labs only when you're in a state of being sick. So that's a backward system.
Yeah, we're driven towards drugs, diagnosis, drugs, dissections, and ultimately, let's see. So that you're cured from cancer if you live 5 years, right? And you're right. It's the yo-yo of our ability to define disease anyway. And
Yeah, it's the subjective nature of it, right? It's that even you went to medical school. A lot of this is pattern matching, right? So it's, hey, I've seen this so many times. So here's a wonderful example. My wife went. You spent so much time in Los Angeles in the '90s before moving to New York. My wife went to two of the most impressive hospitals in the world in Los Angeles. One told her when she was very ill to go home and that she has a viral infection. 2 days later, she still couldn't keep food in her system, kept on vomiting and not feeling well. Went to the second of the most top hospital institutions, and they took her into the ER and said, once again, you have a viral infection. You're totally fine. Go home. And she had to advocate for herself with me there and said, nope, absolutely not. We're getting a CT scan. You really don't need it. You have a viral infection. We get the scan, come back. They apologized and said that her appendix had ruptured. She's septic. E. coli is growing, and that they need to go into emergency surgery immediately. Now, why did that happen? In both of these preeminent, like top institutions, the doctors were trained that if they press on someone's stomach and they don't yell, well, that means that there's nothing wrong with the appendix. But is that the rule, or is that pattern matching and what might happen some amount of time? Now, if we listened to them, she would have gone home and likely died, right? She was septic. It had ruptured. She couldn't maintain food and was in a dire state. But that's what you're speaking about, right, Dr. Kiltz, is that we live in a very subjective educational environment. I do believe we're, with technology, getting to a place where we can identify issues more scientifically and programmatically to help people understand what's wrong with them.
Well, virus, bacteria, and yeast are deadly organisms, and they are the leading cause of death and disease. Cancer is mostly an infectious disease. And I had a mom recently whose 2-year-old died because they said you have a viral infection. But it became as overwhelming sepsis from a bacteria.
Yeah.
And we don't want to admit, we just don't want to give you an antibiotic because you might create a resistant bug. But in fact, our ability to define these things is piss poor.
Yep.
And if I tell you to eat 3 to 6 cereal boxes and bags of plants every day, and you're feeding the gut microbiome, and then I'm telling you to take a probiotic, which is also feeding the gut microbiome, and the microbes in your bloodstream want to do what? Kill you. And so we've created a science of the microbiome is your friend. And maybe that is not true. So much of our world of medicine is, you're right, it's proprietary. It's proprietary, right?
Yeah. No, I agree.
And what is your sense of the people that are looking for alternatives and online and because there are still rules online too of practicing medicine,
Yes.
but in fact, social media and people telling stories is much more powerful.
I couldn't agree more. And if you think about our community, which we were just talking about before we started growing at the pace that it has, it's really about the people sharing the impacts that they've had. It's about true stories and true people. That's how we started 2025 with under 1,000 monthly customers, and now are well past 10,000. It's really genuine, true experiences and feeling connected to our community. It's leaning into the human and the community, and that's what we're all about. But I do believe that we're at this unique point in time where people can genuinely have a outlet like you do to share genuine experiences, what works for them. And of course, it's always with the preface and disclaimer that there's no such thing as a one size fits all solution. Anyone who thinks that is wrong. Everybody's body is different, but these are the things that work, and these are the things that work well for me. And there's no skin off your back to go ahead and try that. So I do think we're at a unique time where we have empowered people to have a strong voice and to say that enough is enough, and this is what I've done.
Do you have an MD degree?
I don't. I have an MBA, not an MD.
Okay, so in fact, we're going out there, all of us, and Papa Carnivore and Mitch. So many people here that join us from around the globe have shared an idea that, and a story that carnivore is like magical. And you know, here I am, 70, March 12th, by the way, coming up.
Congrats.
And I've never felt better. And I've seen the suffering like you've seen the suffering.
Mm.
And ultimately we've made a complicated story out of simplicity. Are we missing a supplement, or are we dying from a poison? And this is the magic that I've learned. And in fact, you know, medicine wants to hold on to their old story. And I'm being shot at and claimed that, like, through COVID, 2 patients died on my watch. And they're claiming it's something I did. It couldn't have been COVID or anything else, or the fact that our system is misaligned. It must be that you did something wrong. And what's the standard diet everyone recommends in the standard medical world? Mediterranean.
That's right. And by the way, that's every year when I see my primary care physician, that's all I hear.
I get my eyes examined yesterday. They tried to examine my head, but you know, they were going through my eyes, and I have perfect vascular anatomy in my eyes. Okay. And I have a little bit of cataracts, you know, 70 years of breathing, drinking, and eating the standard shit. And what I'm feeling is, okay, so now is my CAC score a better measure of my cardiac vessels, Dr. Nelson, or is a look at my retina and my cornea and my eyes? There's no vascular disease there on the eyes. So
and shouldn't the answer be you need the inputs from all facets of data to get a better sense of you, right? And one piece of data isn't sufficient.
Well, you know, here's a data is often doo-doo. This is our problem, even in MBAs, by the way, okay? This is our hard part. Our ability to predict you is very imperfect with all the top technology. Doesn't matter. That's part of our problem. And I'm wondering if we get back to our ancient nature, and we don't need as much technology. We need more simplicity, maybe. Just an idea that because we're not all different, by the way, we're almost identical. Again, it's a hard one. Remember, the top diseases are what? Everyone's dying or getting sick from the top 5, right? So maybe we're more identical than we know. We're like a Ferrari coming off the assembly line, right? Maybe. And throwing out some controversy because we need it at 6 a.m. or 3
a.m.
3 a.m. And I called my brother Ray this morning. He didn't answer, by the way. So brother Ray's in Irvine. I was there the other day and in San Diego. It seems like, damn, a flash of light so fast. Right? This life goes. Where in LA are you, Danny?
Right by UCLA, actually.
Oh, yeah, cool. Westwood area. Very nice.
Yeah, Westwood area.
Yeah.
No, and by the way, I think you're right. I think that we have fundamental underlying things that connect us, not only from a biological perspective, but from a physiological, mental, and spiritual perspective, right? I think that we have motivators that are the same. And I do think some of the things that you say, I couldn't possibly agree with more, how important it is to have faith, prayer, and also just spiritually be aligned and have the power of the mind. I think is so absolutely important. And I don't think that there's data that can support that. I think it's just the case. It's just fact, right?
Your wife was like near death.
Yes.
From one of the most common problems, ruptured bowel.
Exactly.
And the rupture, her body was attempting to save her. But you know, it does a massive job, great. But when a blood vessel like of large artery ruptures and or the bowel ruptures and the microbes. I mean, so how the microbes get there?
Yeah, I don't know. You know,
They're
it's
everywhere.
interesting. I think that you should. I think it's important for people to hear what this was like. Is you know, she couldn't keep water or food in for 2 days. So
Wow.
at some point she started, you know, throwing up or going to the restroom, but it was all green. You know, there's nothing there. And so that was a big indicator that something was fundamentally wrong, even after um, a hospital system that you, I believe, fellowed for or interned at said to go home and that everything was totally fine. Um, and you know, I think our bodies hope to, if they're working properly, inform us that something is fundamentally wrong. Um, and then it's just it's upsetting when you hear your body saying this to you, and then you have a professional with an MD saying, no, 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 you're fine.
Well, because we're lucky enough, by the way, meaning we're people don't die on our watch more often than not. Okay, I mean, eventually we're all going to die,
Yeah.
but I've seen, and I'm I've seen through my practice of medicine people die. I'm like,
Mm.
why'd they die? Well, that shouldn't have happened, or organs just like stop working. And I was at Sepulveda VA with the AIDS crisis way back in the in the 80s,
80s. Yeah.
and I was at Cedar Sinai. I was at Sepulveda VA.
Yeah.
And I was at LA County Women's Hospital for OBGYN, and it's combat medicine, but it's John D. Rockefeller medicine. It's the sugar cartel medicine, and it's so ancient in the powers that control. And we see it right now in what's going on in governmental stuff around the globe in the United States, right? It's basically it's combat. It's the powers that want to control the masses.
You started your journey on your carnivore diet. Is it now 15 years ago?
15 years. Yeah.
What was that catalyst moment for you? By the way, it's important to know I started my health journey with a keto and carnivore diet and intermittent fasting, and it worked wonderfully for me. So I'm a big believer, but I'm curious what that moment for you was, and why it wasn't I'm just going to try it, and rather, this is something that I'm going to vehemently stick to, because if basic math serves me right, you were already 55 at the time. So that's a big life change to make at that age.
I'm an old fucking man. Sorry for the language. I know. We'll
No, I mean,
delete that, Aliyah. But you're right. Okay, so look, grew up in LA, kicked out of school in a gang, couldn't read, father in jail.
Yeah.
I had migraines, bowel problems, poop problems. I ADHD. I couldn't sit still. I ran around. I couldn't read, and so it was already over the counter drugs. It was coffee. It was prunes, and it was a plant-based diet. But we're strong. We suffer through it. We do the very best we can through the misery we're all suffering from. I went to LA City College for 4 years. I went to University of Southern California. I didn't get into medical school initially, and then I got into Albany Med, and then I got into University of California, Davis, where I started 81 to 85. Good friend Dave Kilmer wound up dying of cancer. My good friend Jim Slotnick, who wrote a book, My Short Life, died at 28 of glioblastoma. He was at UCLA. And then my sister Mary Ann dies at 50 of heart failure. These are some of the things that through the journeys you see, and plenty of patients that we cared for, through combat medicine at 2 a.m. at all times of day and night, no sleep in many ways, taking care of people with the myriad of acute and chronic illnesses. I remember a few people. One young gal died of sepsis from heart valve infection from drug use, right? and then another older gentleman died at the VA of E. coli sepsis from his bladder, but he was already in the hospital for 3 years, laying in bed, and we were just pumping him and caring for him, but we never looked back and understood it. But about 25 years ago, I went Atkins. I was Weight Watchers. I worked to look healthy. I integrated mindfulness, meditation, prayer, yoga into my medical practice for fertility to help people to de-stress.
Can I pause? This is so important. I too have ADHD. Meditation is one of the most difficult things for someone, especially with ADD or ADHD. Do you mind just a small fork? How did you get, a lot of people have this. How did you get yourself to a place where you're able to practice?
Well, I learned the trick to all of it. It's actually massively easy because we always meditate and we always pray, but we're praying and meditating on the negative and rather than seeing the positive in all of it. And that's where Jesus Christ came in and understanding the wisdom of a brother and his mother and sharing a story, because that's what this is all about. We're sharing stories. And, we have all this community of people around the globe, like you're building around the globe, is people that are hurting and looking for something. And then I found paleo, keto, and I did them and I shared them and I got better. And then I went carnivore. And if you haven't read the book, The 3 Magic Words by U.S. Anderson or The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, begin to see the power of the secret of life is God is us. There is no God outside of us. And so when we realize the power of the mindset, every thought you think creates the life you live, which is the hard part, right? Because we're all Hindu, Buddhist, Jewish, Christian, Islamic, and we see God as an entity out in the sky. But the science is simple. The mind creates the story. The eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the senses of the human body create the story of what's out there. And that's what we're all here to do, is tell a story. And so then I found carnivore and I did it. And I'm like, arthritis, psoriasis, migraines, bowel bleeding, kidney stones, anxiety, depression, inferiority, all like washed away. And so this is the magic and so the labels we give as doctors that you have a pathologic problem actually turn out to be a characteristic powerhouse of the possibilities that basically, in order to live in a world of nature out on the plains, in the forests, and you have to be so masterfully sensitive to everything. And we call that a disease. But in fact, there's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect the way you are. And so that's how I evolved. And then I found Dr. Nelson, I found Ali, and I found, everyone here. And we must look closer at things around your home to see the positive. It's Booby Goats wrote that. It's all inside of us. This is what, and whether it's a supplement or a new drug or some other, thing that we're all sharing as ideas, we're all on our journey to figure it out individually. Do you believe in God?
It's interesting that you asked that question. I think that to get to a place where you take a massive risk on yourself and start a business where you have something that's very secure in your life and you're willing to take that leap, you have to believe in yourself and have some faith. And I have a routine. It's not one that I built in as a principle at this time or this day, but what I do is I'll look at my watch, phone, or computer, and 3 to 4 times a week, I don't know where this old folk tale came from, but 3 to 4 times a week, I'll see it's 11:11. Could be 11:11 a.m., 11:11 p.m. But I use that moment to pray and to ask for strength, and to work towards a mission and goal that I've set. And it's the same one that I've had for 3 years since we started this. And I remind myself of that 3 to 4 times a week. And I find so much peace every time that, I see those numbers. So it's been an incredible routine that I've had. So, I don't say that I go to church or temple or anything like this with high frequency, but I find my own way to have a deep faith, and it gives, I think, me a lot of strength.
Which is something that all humanity sees in everything it sees, is God is everything. Because God is the term that we have coined to represent the creator of everything, which is within all of us, and meditation, prayer, positivity, and love. But it's something you find 11:11. Oh, it's time. And keep practicing and keep practicing and keep practicing. And this idea this idea that there's something wrong is a filter of maybe everything is actually okay. And I think that faith in God is like the most powerful thing ever created in the universe by humanity.
Is that something that you found later in life or growing up, or is it like Dr. Tia? Where did that come from for you?
Well, I it's always been there. It's always there. We just don't verbalize it or see it or know it, right away. Some people see it sooner, some people later, some people maybe don't see it until the moment of transition, but it is truly always there. And that's the sort of like because who creates everything? And the answer is God, right? That's humans' construct of the great creator. And every time you speak the word, you are right. And ultimately it is us. That's where the U.S. Anderson's book, The Three Magic Words, helped me, and through voracious listening and reading of books and ideas. I mean, that's what we're all sharing here. And we may not all agree on, we often disagree immensely, right? And that's part of the creative story, right? There's a creativity here, right? And look at us. We're throwing out ideas on the internet, and it's touching someone right now or someone 10,000 years from now. And I've been working on an idea of a photon from the sun, 186,000 miles an hour. Is that it?
Miles per second.
Per second, right? And a photon is actually life. And it's captured by a chloroplast, and sugar is made. That's the story we've created, right? In the science of all of this. And ultimately I found God. Well, I found science and God. And the question is, are they separate?
And it's so interesting because you generally would think in most instances that a person of medicine is very scientific and thinks in one specific way, and a person of religion that believes in God and creationism thinks a completely different way. And then you have you. So it's pretty awesome to see. It's pretty awesome to see you breaking the mold of what I think most people think about when they think doctor, and it's refreshing.
Well, ultimately, most doctors, by the way, believe in God.
I would hope.
Most humans believe in God.
Yeah.
Quite often, though, our biggest problem is we pigeonhole these things. And they say you can't talk about God and you can't hug people. And ultimately,
Did you say hug people?
Hug. You can't touch people. can't touch people anymore, right? It's like in medicine, don't talk about God and don't touch me. Okay, so now
because it's a legal liability. Why can't you touch me?
well, we've created these. I mean,
Personal space.
right, but ultimately, humanity is a herd animal. We've created fear of our nature, and ultimately, even just a touch on the back, right, or just holding people in a space of love.
Yeah, that's comfort.
It's comfort, and that's in medicine. That's what's missing. I mean, look what happened over the COVID craziness. They locked everyone up. Can't go in there. Put a mask on. Well,
They used to call
you're
that
going to die
bedside
alone.
manner. They used to call that bedside manner. It's what it's what I think at one point in time was the standard of care.
Right, and so we've maybe Dr. Nelson could talk about this as a family practice doctor, and I was talking to Dr. Gabrielle Lyon the other day. She has a new book on
Forever Strong.
Forever Strong, right?
Yeah.
and
She's very impressive.
And
Yeah.
we're missing the simplicity of just sitting, connecting, listening, and we're also working to rush, and I again I'm the rush king. I'm like, let's get it done, and helping more people as you're working to do. We've where is this comment from? This is as a reason have lost their empathy. I think actually they have it, but the systems of that, all of us are living, right? What's wrong with the current system that we're all living in, and in some, I mean, this is where we're at. We're all online. We're all communicating with these, but people can find connections because our brain doesn't know that this is not real. I mean, the brain thinks everything it experiences is real, everything. And how do we create a connection? That's why we do our physical meetups. Right?
I'm really curious. Do you think this is a U.S.? So right before she got sick, she was already feeling a little unwell, my wife, and we were in Italy. So we went to the doctors there and went to a hospital. And I don't feel like we had that loss of empathy. The interpersonal relationship, it was there. That touch on the back, it was there. Now that's an isolated moment. Maybe you say that just a one-off person, but I'm wondering if this is a U.S. problem or this is a global problem.
It's a global problem because the way of the world is what we're looking at right now here, right? It's online, it's fast, it's motion. I mean, look, you go through the airports of the world and you walk the streets of the world, and ultimately it is the same. And we're really not different. And they're so similar. But yet I think that our humanity is built deep within all of us. And maybe that's where, as we travel the world and we connect with people in more loving, kind ways, and we listen and learn, we go to our ancient, the cathedrals or the ancient the museums and or just walk the streets, right? And be patient, go slow. But it's, there's so much of, let's make more money. Let's be more successful. Let's have more likes and all those things. And nothing, I'm not chastising them because we're all part of that. It's just within that. How do we just slow down a little bit, right? And what you're sharing, because what you're doing is bringing people together in a way that we're not doing in standard medicine. But your wife almost died because of in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Let's get you in. You're fine. What do we call it?
And it's what you
Gomer?
said. You said combat medicine, right? And it made me think. I don't know if you're watching the show. I haven't started the second season, but gave me a very visceral feeling. I loved it, but I can sympathize in a very material way watching The Pit. I don't know if you watch that, but
Mhm.
that term you used, combat medicine, really resonated after watching that show.
Well, I just remember through residency,
Yeah.
internship in internal medicine, internship in OBGYN, and I remember just labor and delivery.
Mm.
It was, let's clear the board. Let's get everyone delivered and get them out the door, right? Let's move them out of our particular problem. Let's rupture their membranes. Let's start their stimulation. Let's monitor them. Let's push them. And ultimately, a lot of what we did interventionally was, it's carousel medicine, right? It's putting everyone in a carousel or moving us through, and not realizing that we have to slow down and be present and patient. And
And it's because you're seniors or the owners. The you know key performance indicator is how many people did you see in an hour? How many people did you see in a day? Right? With let's get those numbers up. How do we increase output? And so, how can you have a high standard of care when that's the KPI?
for all of us, there's revenue, there's profits, there's our ability to keep going, and that's so much of what we're in medicine. I own a large medical practice, and these are things that we always look at, but ultimately we have to come back to, and this is why I focus on faith in God within the mirror, the food you consume, how frequently, how much, and what it is. And I believe that the carnivore lifestyle is likely the most evolutionarily healthy for humans.
Hmm.
But it's a hard one because we have our cultures. And I'm Italian in my culture, and Mediterranean my culture, but I grew up and lived in LA. I loved Coke and I loved chips and salsa, and I loved pizza, pasta, and bread. I love parties, and we love the amusement park, and we all love it, right? Go to our
Yeah.
meetups and we have a good time. We're connecting.
What is the frequency at which you do these meetups, and how do you think about them? We have one coming up in Los Angeles for our community. So we think about them as micro meetups, and we partner with other companies that are mission aligned, that truly care about making a difference. Will you tell me a little more about your meetups, how you think about them, frequency, location, etc.?
Well, it's about bringing people together, like-minded
Yeah.
ideas, or they're carnivore curious, or they're already on the mission, and it's a lifestyle, and so whatever our sort of habitat is, we want to bring our tribes together and listen and learn and get a chance to meet people eye to eye, and and that's really important for humanity to come together. But it's sort of there. We have one coming up in Tampa in a couple of weeks on February 7th. We were just in San Diego with Healing Humanity, and
Mhm.
I'm a big supporter of Healing Humanity in order to bring this story. But it's interesting for me. You don't have to be a pure animal eater only, but a plant eater only does not exist with modern supplementation. That's not a normal. It's not a normal evolutionary life. Eggs, cream, butter, cheese, it, to me, could be a staple for so many people that want to be in the plant world. But I always say eat less frequently, cook your plants well, minimize the toxins, simplify the sugars, and fat is really where it's at.
Am
So
I crazy, or did you start throwing in some like baked potato in the equation?
Okay, so I am a carnivore. I have always consumed infrequent French fries or a baked potato in small amounts infrequently
Love
with
it.
lots of butter or sour cream, fat.
There's no other way.
Because amino acids from proteins and simple sugars from starches and all plants, basically the majority of its sugars, all metabolize the same. When we say protein, we're misinformed. Your body wants fat. You either eat it or it makes it. You can't get away from those two things. The liver's job is to make fat out of amino acids and sugars, period. Insulin's job is to make fat in the liver. You don't make fat, you're dead. Nobody eats fat. Olive oil is not a fat. Coconut oil is not a fat. It's a plant oil that's industrial extracted. The only fat is an animal fat that nature has made. Everything else is man-made, processed, and that's not natural to human evolution. Olive oil is not natural to human evolution.
And for the audience, thinking about it as a consumer, so what would be an unhealthy fat? I understand that the healthy fats you're suggesting are all the animal derived ones. So what would be the pure unhealthy fats if you were to go to a grocery store?
All right, so fat is from an animal. Oils are from plants. Period. Okay, so when we use the word healthy, it's a marketing term. Organic, clean, healthy are all marketing terms that no other organism utilizes. And butter, lard, tallow does not mold. They're anti-inflammatory when you eat them. So no other animal eats just the lean meat of an animal.
Do you derive better nutrition from one of those lard, tallow, butter, one of those fats?
Technically, you gain the best, healthiest micronutrients from animal meat, which contains fat, if you're eating the natural animal organically along with the organ meats. And so when you render fat, animal fat tissue, adipocytes, you actually render away and may damage the molecular structure of the micro and macronutrients your body wants. And so fat is from an animal, oils from plants. You're not gaining the same. You get an oil, it's an extracted process anyway. And plus plant oils tend to contain many phytonutrients, which also can be highly poisonous for us. All right? So what poison comes from a ribeye steak? Nada. And again,
just joy.
Science has made a very complicated story out of nature's simplicity. I call it scientism. All right. Now remember, you're an MBA, but you're a scientist. We're all again, you don't need a degree to make you something anyway. You're a human being that's massively intelligent. You came out of the trees, you made tools, weapons, and hunted in a pack. And then you built rockets and airplanes and cars, and you built a house, right? And so ultimately, the fat off the lamb is really the healthiest thing you could eat. Raw, by the way, is like healthy, but when it's rendered, it's not the same product. When you cook something, especially animal products, you damage them. Plants, you actually make more nutrient available. But can you eat only plants without a supplement from a human and be healthy?
I would imagine not.
You cannot.
You have
and Dr.
Supplements.
Nelson. Yeah. And that's where NAD and all of our vitamins that we've massively produced, all of us, and we're taking them almost like an insurance policy. If you think about it. So, but this is all.
We have a few
Go ahead.
questions.
Yeah. One more, Danny. What was your last one? And then we'll get Dr.
Well,
Nelson.
so I actually really wanted to double click into raw meat. I enjoy it very much. I like tartare quite a lot. But all tartare is not created equal. And I wanted to get your perspective. Is that a quality of the animal? Is that storage? Why at some point in time will you have a tartare and you might get sick from it? And why are you going to have the best bite ever and never feel a single thing? Is that storage? Is that the animal itself? Is it preparation? From your perspective.
So an animal, it creates their anatomy, and it's the human processing that makes it toxic or not. Plants are recalled more and cause more disease than the animal you eat ever will.
It feels like these lettuce continue getting recalled on a what, every 3-month basis.
Well, because lettuce is nature's toilet paper. Piss and poop and the microbes live well endowed in plants. But we who want to control the masses feed them plants because plants are highly addictive and poisonous. And they feed the microbes in the gut that make alcohol in your gut. And so we are just masterfully manipulated by the masters that want to sell us heroin, cocaine, marijuana, nicotine, caffeine, and the most addictive substance is plant sugars, which ultimately we are addicted to them for survival. That's all.
So the manipulation. So so it's processing. So it's when you're breaking down the animal, and potentially also what it's being fed prior to that. That causes for
probably not. That's the least of the problems. The most problem is you didn't kill and eat that animal. Someone else did, and then they ground it, they wrapped it, they shipped it, and you have no idea anything about it. But that animal, I don't care if it eats grass or grains, it's still healthier than any plant you eat on a regular basis.
But it's that processing, it's that breaking it down that you're suggesting is the difference between you having a bad raw meat
or cooked.
You actually,
it doesn't matter. Or cooked or whatever. Again, it is. Remember, we make up stories because we're marketers and we want to sell something. But ultimately, I think that the meat is the master meal, and it's the least toxic. There's no heroin in ribeye steak, but there are opiates in every plant you consume, and latex. Every plant contains latex, or celiac, right? Or something like that. Dr. Nelson, do you have any really important cues out there?
There are a couple. Alia, someone asked us. Let me bring this up. I don't know if they were asking about your wife or was a conversation within the chat.
About his wife.
Oh yeah, no, she does not have gallbladder issues, and this truly came out of nowhere. And subsequent to that, she didn't. What she did subsequent to that have is, when you go through this process, they couldn't see anything in her stomach, so they had no idea how to operate. So they ran through and killed every positive bacteria and negative bacteria in her body, and so it took her years to stabilize her body after that. She just didn't feel the same. She couldn't digest the same. She couldn't, it just, her whole, everything was different.
It's not the microbes. The microbes are deadly.
Yeah.
It's the anatomy and the physiology and what diet was she eating. Same diet she probably went in and got it from. This is the hard part. Fasting is the best thing we can do when we're sick. Nothing. Zero. You just hibernate.
Yeah.
But we don't do that.
Autophagy, right?
Well, autophagy is always happening. Autophagy always happens, whether you're fasting or not, because inflammation is autophagy. The cells, your body is just trying to clean up the mess you've created from the microbes and the plants. Nobody's allergic to a ribeye steak.
Yeah. It's interesting. She used to love sushi. And after they killed everything in her body, she just didn't want it for 2 years. She just
They
couldn't.
did not kill
there's
everything in your body. They did not. You cannot. It's an impossibility, pretty much. You killed the antibiotics save people's lives. Period. If you're sick, how do you treat gastric ulcer? Antibiotics. Antibiotics.
But they're not targeted, right? They're not targeted at whatever's making you sick.
But you don't know, again, which microbe would you want in your bloodstream? None. They're all harmful. They're all there. They're everywhere. So to wipe them out, you can't do anyway. But let's just say you did. Tomorrow, they're back again. You can clean your counter of every microbe, but if you had that microscope, electron microscope, you would see that there's like a massive microbial colonies everywhere, because that's not her problem. Her problem was anatomic damage from the microbes that she was feeding unknowingly. But let's just take us 50,000 years ago. All right. What'd you eat? You waited for someone to hunt and kill and process and deliver your food?
We would kill animals and pick berries.
What berries where and when? You live in LA. Okay. They were there all year round. And you know anything about the berries that are everywhere? They're very toxic.
Yeah, the majority.
We're only eating a very infinitesimally small products that we managed to change and minimize the poisons and maximize the sugars, right? That's what I say. So, Dr. Nelson.
Let's take one more question, but we have to be very quick. We have like 2 minutes.
Let's see.
Where's the stars? Just pick one.
Just pick one. All right.
Here.
Pick this one. Which one? Healing MS lesions through carnivore. Thoughts on fasting related to healing lesions. Is the fat more helpful in healing, or is it both meat, fat, and healing?
Dr. Nelson.
Is nutrition, is the fat? Answer is yes. What do you think?
A bear hibernates 6 months, gestates 6 months, and loses only adipose tissue. Adipose sites, adipose tissue must be the most important cell of our body. And it's fat, because adipose tissue contains every mineral, vitamin, amino acid, simple sugar, and fatty acid. And ultimately, this is our problem. When you eat an animal or you eat a plant, you get all these things. Rendered fat is not good for us. Once again, it's cooked.
Go ahead and run it, Ali.
Run it and then hit it, because you got about Danny, hang on with us. This is good.
No, I love, like, the first question you picked was like one of the most complicated ones you could talk about an hour for.
But there's all simplicity.
Hey, Louis.
Yay, Louis.
We got to meet up at sometime. What is it, April or something? 11th?
In Long Island, April 11th.
Yeah, Long Island, April 11th.
And where's your meetup, Danny? What do you got coming up? What do you got? MEAT up or MEET up?
Yeah, we have one coming up in Venice, targeted for April
Cool.
later this year. So very excited. Definitely will invite you. I don't know how often you come out here to LA, but we're out here in New York quite often.
Cool.
Oh, awesome.
All right, everyone. We'll see you Sunday. I don't know what my Sunday looks like yet, but Monday for sure.
We're not doing Sunday. Monday.
Have a
Monday.
nice weekend,
Monday.
everyone.
Okay, bye. Oh,
Eat
Danny.
Bye. Thank
Danny.
you for having me.